So if you've been on the internet for any amount of time, you're probably gonna recognize this image here, where you can't tell which way the blocks are facing. If you flip upside down, they're facing up again. These lines here, they're completely straight, even though they look crooked. Or this video here, where I don't even know what's going on. But my goal today is to turn these optical illusions into a level in Geometry Dash to create a playable optical illusion. Enjoy. So this video is probably going to be a bit different to my other videos since I didn't use my microphone while recording, so I'm going to have to voice over this speed build. But I started off with the crooked lines and I worked from there. I got a really cool thing at the beginning, like this little shaky thing. It looked really cool, and I was really wondering how I was going to fit some gameplay in here. But as you can see, I used the space in between each section to have a little cube section, and it went back and forth, and I added some indicators with arrows, and it looked really cool. So after each speed build, what I'm going to do is I'm going to showcase each part just so you can follow along a bit better, and the first part's going to come out right now. So here is the showcase of the first part. This leads us on to the second part, which I decided to do the upside down cube thing, and I did it in the worst way possible at the beginning, and I realized my mistake later. I used the original cube blocks but warped them around a bit, and it looked good, yeah, I won't deny that, but it was so inefficient. I think there are 2,000 objects right there. I realized probably around here that I needed to use gradient triggers. I created a little shadow below the player just to add a bit more depth to the 3D environment, but the gameplay here is terrible, I'll just admit that. Here we can see me making the gradient. I did make a huge mistake with this gradient, probably the biggest mistake I've ever made. I clicked paste color and I had no gradients linked with over 150 gradient objects. I had to spend half an hour, you'll see it here probably. I genuinely had to spend half an hour trying to figure out where each one went because I had no organization. And just to put this into perspective, how many groups I used, right there is when it happened. You can see me going. This used over 1,000 groups just for the gradient objects in the background. And it does work, I'll show you when I flip the camera, but I don't know if it's worth over 1,000 groups. And I think this part used 5,000 objects just by itself, which is just mad. And I just sounded British for a minute there. But I'm still going at this gradient trigger thing. I eventually get it, but it took so long, and it was the most tedious thing because sometimes you'd think you'd have the right one, and then it'd just be the completely wrong one, and it would just completely mess it up. Even a single side looking weird messed it up. But here you can see I did actually get it, and right around here is when I do finish this part. I decided to go with like a yellow and red. I'm not sure why, but it looks good, so I kept it. Here I just added some spikes and added a bit more gameplay, and then that's the end. Here's the showcase. I wanted to quickly show how this part works, but as it flips over, just give your eyes a second to adjust, and you'll just see the cubes like they were before. It's so cool. This leads us on to the final part, which I think is interesting to say the least. It took me a while to figure out what I was doing, and I basically just used that video I showed at the beginning for inspiration, and it just wasn't computing in my brain. I guess that's the point of the optical illusion, but my brain just wasn't computing. You'll just see here so many trial and error attempts, and I eventually got it. But as you can see here, I'm using the original circles to measure where I should put the other circles, and it was just such a weird task to do because everything I tried, whenever I thought it would work, just turned out so weird. I'll play a couple clips soon of what it looked like, a couple of the failed attempts, and you'll see what I mean. It just, you'd think it would work, but just something looks off until eventually I did figure it out. But that wasn't for a while, and we still have no gameplay. I started to remedy that around here where I built a bit of a layout with some designs first. I decided to go straight into the design rather than just building a layout first. It did turn out alright. It's just a bit weak compared to the other parts because it doesn't really focus on the optical illusion. Well, it does, just not as much as the other parts. I just think this part did turn out cool because it hurts your eyes to look at, and that's the point of the optical illusion. I mean, optical illusion. So here I added a really weird glitchy effect to these blocks, and I had a short wave section at the end just to get it to medium length because I didn't want it to be short if it was 28 seconds. And here's the final product. The level is available on the servers using this ID here, and that's all I have done today. I will be working on another video for the XXL level soon, so stay tuned for that. Bye.